spinachtiger.com, and today I'm going to show you how to make Italian ricotta Christmas cookies. These are light, pillowy, fluffy cookies that are really delicious, and so let's get started. Well, the first thing that I always do when I'm cooking, baking especially, is to take my ring off. I put it always in my little hard dish. That's the first thing I do so that we don't have any bacteria coming from our ring in case we start to touch the cookie dough. Now we're going to take 2 sticks of butter and get that really nice and softened. Now make sure you start with butter that has been softened, because if it's not softened already, even when you beat it, it's still going to have little pieces to it. So you want to really make sure that you do that. The next thing we're going to do is put in 1 3/4 cups of sugar and get that mixed up really well. Down the sides, and then I'm going to add in 2 eggs, and we want to get the eggs really well incorporated into our cookie. Now this is the point where we're going to add in our vanilla. The recipe that I looked at called for 2 tablespoons, which is a lot of vanilla. I'm going to use vanilla paste, and I'm only going to use 1 tablespoon. Because that can be, I think, a little overpowering. Now we're going to get our ricotta cheese in there. This is what changes the texture to really light and fluffy and pillowy. That tastes like the best sugar cookie that you ever ate. And we're going to get our flour ready. Now, I always aerate my flour. You want to aerate your flour before you measure out. This is 4 cups with a teaspoon each of baking powder and baking soda. This is one cookie that I don't add any salt to, because one time I added salt to it and that's all I could taste. So no salt. Get that mixed together really, really well. And we're going to start adding in our flour, a little at a time. Now, one thing I forgot to tell you is what I do a little bit differently than some of the recipes out there for the ricotta cookies is I add in freshly ground nutmeg. I love this. This is something, this nutmeg grinder, you see that? I use this all the time. This was a gift and it's just awesome. And here's part of the nutmeg, so I always make sure that I have these on hand. This is a very much an Italian flavor. It's added to Italian flavor to pasta dishes and lasagna. Lots of, it smells so good, and it reminds me of Christmas. Why? Because it's what they put in eggnog. So I always add in a little bit of nutmeg to the cookie to give it that taste. And this cookie dough is what I would call done. Now, most Italian cookies, probably almost all Italian cookies, are not very sweet. They have less sugar than Americans' version of cookies, which is why I tend to like them a lot. Now, this dough in and of itself, this batter, is not very sweet, but it's going to have a glaze over it. Now, you can do almond glaze, lemon glaze, or orange glaze, and I'm going to show you how to do orange glaze today, and then we're going to decorate them with some fun sprinkles. You can get your cookies baked up and get other people in the family, like kids, to just help you decorate them. If you want to turn that into a family tradition, which I think is an awesome thing to do, have a little decorating party. So we're going to take a baking sheet. I've set the oven at 350 degrees, and I like to use this little cookie scooper. That way I kind of know that I can get my cookies the same size, not always. These are probably going to be a little bigger than I want. And we're going to cook these for about 10 minutes. And then let them cool a little bit, and then we'll put that glaze on. So let's get some of these in the oven. I'll be back. Okay, I just took them out of the oven after about 10 minutes. They're nice and brown on the bottom. They're fluffy and soft. And I'm gonna start making my glaze. Since I only made a dozen, and I put the rest of the batter in the refrigerator, I'm gonna make a small amount of glaze starting with just confectioner's sugar and a little bit of orange juice. You don't need as much liquid as you think you might to make a glaze like this. If it's too thin, you just add in a little more confectioner's sugar. And if it's too thick, you add in a little bit more orange juice. You can make a glaze, just a plain tasting glaze, just using milk too. And then you could, if you're gonna do almond, just go ahead and use milk and a little bit of drop of almond extract, just a drop, because a little bit of that goes a long, long way. I have the consistency that I want, if you can see that. Now I'm just gonna take a pastry brush. I like to use the rubber one, it's easy to clean. And I'm gonna go ahead and just brush on this yummy glaze. Let's see how far the glaze goes. You're gonna use about maybe 1.5 cups of confectioner's sugar and about 3 to 5 tablespoons of whatever liquid. And that, of course, is gonna be on the blog. And you do know that I always put the complete recipe right there in the bottom, link to recipe, so you'll be able to see these nice fluffy ricotta cheese cookies. Let's see, we can get another one in there. We want to hurry quick though and get those sprinkles on. Sprinkles is up to you. Typically, these little dot sprinkles, so I'll show you, what that looks like. And I placed a piece of parchment paper underneath to catch the sprinkles, but they're probably going to go all over the place anyway. Or you can use, a little bit of a thicker. I think these are just real pretty, these little button sprinkles. I've got these little candy canes. Oh man, these are cute. You don't need a lot. You just need enough to just give it a little, You could use plain colored sugar. So you could go ahead and you could freeze these cookies. Like I said, you could freeze the batter, or you could freeze the cookies and then do the glaze later. That's probably what I would do, so they wouldn't get all messed up, and then they would be nice and fresh. Can you see how cute these are? And are you wondering how they taste? Do you want me to tell you? Okay, if you like biscuits, you're gonna love these cookies because they're fluffy like a biscuit. There's just enough nutmeg in there to not really say, hey, there's nutmeg, but it's like, okay, these have a nice flavor with that vanilla and the nutmeg and the orange. So you've got a perfect Christmas cookie. Thank you for visiting SpinachTiger.com, cooking real food for real people from scratch. Don't forget to subscribe.